The implication behind the conviction of Lisa Temple and the circumstances of her eviction from the family home and the injustice compounded upon that by the courts affects all of us. Justice has been absent throughout. It's shown that might is right. Bullies have been allowed to hold the day. Remember, this is being done in our name. You or your family could well be next. However, despite the injustice, Lisa Temple is unbroken. She has kept her dignity. She has even forgiven them. Sentencing in Lisa's case was due on Friday, just gone. But now it will take place on Monday, the 20th at 3 p.m. in Dublin's CCJ. Everybody is invited to attend this. It is a public event, and please witness what takes place and offer the moral support to Lisa and her family. The People's Paper were present on last Friday, as we were at the trial which took place in early March, and people may have seen some of our earlier reports. We'll try to pop some links into the feed here in case people want to have a quick reference back to them. Now, in addition, from Friday's hearing, which was meant to be the sentencing, we have written a report to try to paint what's taking place outside of the specific legal nitty-gritty, but to give us the overview, the context of what the experience is in the courtroom in these situations and how our legal process deals with these circumstances which are traumatic for families. Because this is important stuff. How do we regard this? How do we regard the treatment of people whom perhaps in certain ways are vulnerable because they have been victimized and subject to years-long, I have to say, harassment and deprivation of rights and abuse, yet who continue to maintain a dignified stand, refuse to be broken? Like, how do we respond to that? How do those who act in our name in the legal system respond to these circumstances? Do they give a helping hand to people that they should understand the process they're going through and to help them get through it? Whether guilty or innocent, people are entitled to due process and entitled to the fullest of respect. Lisa, just to recap, Lisa was evicted by a gang of men, masked most of them, who invaded her home back in March 2022. This was an illegal eviction. The paperwork was inadequate and was out of date, and was carried out in a very bullying manner. She and her daughter, who had the front and rear doors of her home broken into, were set upon early in the morning, and over about an hour of various trauma and aggro and worry and concern and anxiousness were set upon and forcibly evicted from their home. Now, part of this was, for example, even though Gardaí knew and the sheriff knew that there were vulnerabilities in this household, they knew that they needed to take extra care and that there was a minor present. But in the end of the day, Lisa got arrested and taken away, and her daughter, a minor, was left sitting on her own on the side of a roadway. Like, what is this process that we call justice when things like this can happen? In summary, Lisa Temple is completely innocent of what she has been convicted of. That is a fact. It's our experience. If people look at the facts and look at the due process, this is undeniable. Lisa faces imprisonment now without having had the benefit of any legal aid throughout the legal cycle involved. This is a direct denial of constitutional provisions which are there to safeguard the people. It's a denial of these provisions, and it's also a denial of the provisions of the ECHR, the European Convention on Human Rights. Lisa did not receive due process across multiple judges who were involved in her case. She was treated in a cruel and inhuman manner inside in the courtroom. We witnessed this ourselves. This is completely unacceptable. But this is what has happened. And if it's allowed to carry on, are we rubber stamping? Is our state rubber stamping that this is the behaviour to be meted out to citizens whom are undergoing a trial and therefore legally presumed innocent? That such abuse of process and of humanity, if you like, is allowed to go unchecked, because this is what's happening to us. On Monday, this coming Monday, and since Friday, in fact, Lisa now has secured, finally, a legal team. And when they came on record on Friday, could you believe, they said, Judge, this is a long history in this. They hadn't read the file, and they asked the judge, could they have time to read into the file so as to know how to respond and how to represent their client? The judge was taken aback, but there was even some legal argument over it. And finally, the judge agreed. He said, you can have till 3 p.m. Monday. That means it is impossible for their legal team to read the file. It is impossible for them to get digital recordings, audio recordings, for example, from the 5-day hearing which took place last month. It was impossible. So what's the value of having a legal team when the court system itself makes it impossible for that team to deal with the issues of the case? Like, this is just a further compounding of an injustice which has been carried out again in our name. I just again encourage people, look at the link we have in this, going with this video. It's a very good report, and it paints not the usual kind of court report, but gives a particular, and I think a very human presentation of what's gone through here. I can't imagine it doesn't touch on the experience that Lisa and her family have had to go through, but it might give us some idea of what is taking place. And let's wait now until Monday. We have no choice. At 3 o'clock, and let's see what Judge Martin Nolan is presiding over this. Let's see whether he has had some thoughts and what his judgment is going to be. He is to hand down sentence.